Hi guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome if you are new. Without further ado, let's go ahead and get straight into today's video. So today's video is very exciting, at least to me. We are going to be doing some 90s and 2000s inspired nails, and these nails are in specific inspired by BIPOC culture and even more specifically inspired by Black culture. So this nail set was supposed to be up for Black History Month, and you guys will probably be seeing this either the 29th or March 1st. But to be honest, I mean, Black History Month isn't just 1 month, okay? So I don't mind getting it out in March because Black History Month is an everyday type of mindset. Anyway, so as you guys saw, I did start off with a little bit of nail prep, and now I'm gonna go ahead and start gluing on these nail tips. So as you can see today, we're gonna be doing some duck nails because I just felt like it was very fitting, especially for the aesthetic of the nails that I'm going for. And I will talk about it a little bit later. But yeah, I'm very excited to show you guys what I was thinking about during this nail set, what I was inspired by. So yeah, now I'm just taking a fine carbide bit and shaping up the free edge of these duck nail tips a little bit. I didn't do it too much because specifically for 90s and 2000s nails, I feel like they weren't really on the moon crescent wave yet, and I wanted to be as authentic as I possibly could, so I am going kind of straight for today. So specifically for today's video, it's not going to be a super like tutorial based kind of video, and I don't label any of my videos to be necessarily tutorials, but I do kind of walk you through pretty much all of the steps that I normally do. But for today, it's kind of going to be more conversation based, and I'm very excited about that because as you guys know, I've been really trying to get more into these kinds of videos because I just feel like it's really fun, it's really chill and relaxed. And for today's video, we've got some topics to uncover. We've got some things to talk about, and I'm very, very excited. So now that we're onto the application, let's go ahead and dive into some things I wanted to talk about concerning these nails and Black History Month and things like that. So as I said earlier on, these nails are inspired by BIPOC culture and more specifically Black culture. And in the 90s and 2000s, I feel like we were on this really cool, like extra blinged out, super colorful flowers and dots and just really cool designs like all of the time. Like that was what we were on. And even though these nails are, like I said, kind of inspired by 90s and 2000s nails, I do want to mention that these nails did not like start in the 90s. It definitely started within the late 80s, and that is where we got a lot of the pioneers for Black fashion and culture. And when it comes to women of color, they definitely pioneered nail artistry, especially when we are talking about the Black community as well as the Asian and Latinx community. And speaking of, I was inspired by a lot of different things for this nail set and by a lot of different people. So I was really thinking like FloJo, Lil Kim, Gail Devers. And when I say Lil Kim, I'm not really talking about her nails. I'm more talking about her fashion sense. Like when I think of these nails, I think of Lil Kim, okay? But of course, I was also inspired by some newcomers such as Queen of the Garden on Instagram, as well as people like Everything Marcelli. She's an amazing nail tech, and if you don't follow them, do better. But yeah, I wanted the colors, I wanted the texture, I wanted the sort of like things that don't necessarily go together, but when you put them together, they look good. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, now I want to kind of touch on the sort of aesthetic of these nails and the negative connotation that comes with nails like this. So as you guys know, these nails are colorful. These nails are in your face, boom, bam, wow, right? But I feel like in the 90s and 2000s and even in the late 80s, women who wore nails like this were not perceived very well by society, specifically by older generations of people and specifically women of older generations. And even with that being said, I think everyone kind of discriminated against people who were colorful and who were free to express themselves. It was just kind of like not the wave. And I feel like it's still not the wave, which is really like gross and just weird. I don't know. But yes, people who express themselves freely, especially women and people of color who express themselves freely, were just not really seen as worthy of respect. It kind of led to the origins of sort of quote unquote like hoochie mama, if that makes sense, in hoochie mama culture. And I don't really like to use that word because to some it's still derogatory, but in my opinion, I feel like it's a freeing term. Like I feel like women of color, specifically Black women, have taken this term, flipped it around, and allowed it to be a term that like freed them from the shackles of society. And if you don't know what a hoochie mama is, it's kind of the woman that is described as loud and extra promiscuous, a little bit sensual, and kind of like the woman that you don't want, which I feel like is so disgusting and crappy to label these women as the women that you want to avoid. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that exactly like right now. But they're the women who express themselves freely and who are honestly deemed as bottom of the barrel when it comes to women, especially Black women of color. And to be honest, I think a lot of the people who ostracized these women who were young, wild, and free were older women of color. And of course, that's not to say that they were the only demographic of people who discriminated against young, wild, and free Black women, but I do think that they were prominent in this discrimination. And of course, I think that is because of things like societal norms and religion, but I'm not going to get too much into that because I don't want to insert my own religious beliefs onto you. But I do think that purity culture and things like white acceptance play into why young, wild, and free Black women were perceived as such. And when I say perceived as such, I mean perceived as the H mama. I don't want to say it again because what if YouTube takes this video down or something? I don't want that to happen, so I'm just not going to say it again. But anyways, when it comes to H mama culture, we definitely see the beginnings of it, especially in 90s Black films and music, especially amongst rappers and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to H mamas and rap culture, there's a very, very complicated relationship between the two because, as I said before, a lot of the older generation of women were the ones to discriminate against H mamas. But when it came to rap music, however, I do feel like they were kind of sexualized. So yeah, it was still pretty gross if I'm being so honest, because when you really sit back and think about all of the 90s rap music that you listen to, and they had these really sensual, promiscuous women in their music videos, and when they rapped about these women, it was purely for what. These were never women that they described as someone that they would want to spend the rest of their life with, women that they would want to help uplift. It was always simply for physical, you know what I mean. And honestly, I think it's very damaging that women who express themselves freely are not women that you want to continue on in life with. I think that's really gross. So not only is there a lot of misogyny at play here, but there's a lot of misogynoir, which is extremely prevalent in the 80s and 90s, as well as present day. It's honestly just so sad to see a lot of Black women be villainized, and yeah. I don't want to get too much into that part, okay? But yeah, that's kind of a little bit of a rundown on H mama culture. Now, I do want to kind of touch on this a little bit more a little bit later in the video, but as you can see, we're almost done with the application. So I'm just going to be quiet for now and let you guys watch the rest of it. And of course, we'll be back to shape and file these nails. so the application is done and this is what everything is looking like. Next, I'm going to take this carbide bit to go ahead and start shaping up these nails. And normally when I am doing duck nails, I don't really explain what I'm doing. And the reason why I don't is because, well, now that I think about it, I actually don't know why I don't explain it. Anyway, I'm just going to take my carbide bit to kind of shape up these nails, correct the apex, and seal my cuticles a little bit. And I only use a carbide bit or an electric file for when I do duck nails because they're so round. And honestly, a straight nail file just does not work because these are curved. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And I'm also going to try and debulk these nails because I'll be honest, okay? I thought I was really that girl with that one bead of clear acrylic, but to be honest, a lot of these were like too thick. So yeah, I'm just going to go ahead and debulk everything. And yeah, I will be back in just a bit. So we are on to the nail art, and this is the photo that I used for my inspiration for today's nail set. And I found this on Pinterest, so I'm not exactly sure who did this nail set, but of course, credit where credit is due. So as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I did kind of want to incorporate like different things that didn't really make sense together, but like when you put them together, they look good. So that's what we did, because I feel like this nail set encapsulated what I was thinking, and I absolutely love it. It's so beautiful. It's like really random, and I just love it. So yeah, as I mentioned, this isn't really like a tutorial based video, so I'm not going to talk too much about the nail art process. Now, I may throw in a couple of comments about what I did here and there for extra clarity, but for the most part, I'm not going to talk about it too much. Now, what I really want to talk about is more about these, H mamas and respectability, culture, things like that. Now, as we already know from what I said earlier, I feel like nails like this were definitely popularized by H mamas, and we all know that H mamas just did not get a good rep, and they still don't really get a good rep. And just to continue on with the thought that I made a little bit earlier, I feel like the reason why they don't get such a positive rep is it has a lot to do with like religion and Black culture and some things that, of course, the Black community is still working on. And I think this goes without mentioning, but when I say the Black community, I literally mean like my community. Like, I'm Black as well, so I'm a part of it, but yeah. Now, when it comes to religion, again, I'm not going to insert my own beliefs onto you, but when it comes to religion, especially Black Christianity, there's a lot to do with how you present yourself, and I think it does relate back to our history as Black people, especially when it concerns appeasing to white people. And I think that plays a lot into misogynoir and things of the sort. And with that being said, this is not an attack on white people. I have nothing against white people, but I do think that historically there has been a huge tie to how Black people present themselves and how it can positively or negatively affect them in the eyes of white people. And I don't really think that has anything to do with like individual white people, but white supremacy as a system that the world operates under, unfortunately. So yeah, that's a whole nother like topic that I'm not really going to get into, because yeah, I'm just not going to get into that. But anyways, back to like societal norms and stuff like that. I think societal norms have obviously been set by our oppressors, if that makes sense. And I think we insert those same beliefs onto our own community members, and it is very damaging. And of course, with that being said, we're not the only community that ostracizes young, wild, and free Black women, but it does sting a little bit more when it comes from your own people. But on a more positive note, I do think that over time, we've gotten a lot better about how we view these young, wild, and free Black women. And we have FloJo and Gail Devers and Lil Kim to thank for that. And of course, even newcomers such as Megan Thee Stallion, Sexy Red, and, like people like, I don't know, like Ice Spice. I feel like I don't know, maybe, yeah, I feel like Ice Spice could be included in that. But even people from my generation have really been like pioneering modern feminism, especially when it comes to modern Black feminism. And just as a little side note, I do feel like I like to make that distinction between other types of feminism and Black feminism, because they are slightly different, especially when we look at like Black feminism versus like white feminism. Anyways, I don't think I really want to get into that. But anyways, there have been a lot of women in the industry who have really been pioneering modern Black feminism and what it means to be unapologetically Black. And that is something that I've been definitely practicing this month. And I want to practice it pretty much for my entire life. Like just being unapologetically Black in whatever form I'm in, whoever I decide I want to be, I will be unapologetically Black. And I think in modern times, it's been increasingly difficult to find a really good balance, because sometimes it seems like we're doing really good, but then you have older generations and even some younger generations of people who still view them in a negative light. And this is simply because of how they present themselves. They present themselves as women who are carefree, women who do what they want with their body, women who do what they want with their body when they want with their body. And to a lot of people, it's a touchy subject. But in my opinion, I think that women should be free to express themselves, especially Black women. Because if I'm being honest, we're always getting the hardest critiques and we're always side-eyed, if that makes sense. And for example, think of like all of the like male podcasts that you've been seeing recently within like the past few years, and how they just love to crap on women who express themselves freely, women who are independent, women who live for themselves. And I would say that a lot of those women are probably Black women who feel liberated, women who don't need to appease to anyone but themselves. So in a sense, we've come a long way, but we do still have a lot of work, especially when it comes to misogyny amongst Black women, especially age mamas, okay? So for this nail set, I really wanted to kind of pay my respects to H mama culture and the young, wild, and free Black girlies out there who don't care about what anyone else thinks and who are valid in those feelings and who are literally killing it, okay? For those who have been made to feel less than, for those who are made to feel less than for expressing themselves freely, for those women who do what they want with their body, and for those who live in their truth, okay? This is kind of like my homage to H mamas. I don't know. But anyways, I feel like I've been talking for probably like 20 minutes at this point. So I'm just gonna let you guys watch the rest of this nail art and I will be back to close everything off. So the nail art is done, and I just went ahead and put on some jewelry. I don't necessarily have the jewelry to match this aesthetic, but I kind of tried my best. So now I'm gonna go ahead and with some cuticle oil. And that completes today's set. I really do hope you guys enjoyed this one. This nail set was definitely a lot of fun and a little bit more extra than I kind of anticipated. I feel like that kind of happens sometimes where I'm just going and it just ends up to be a lot. So yeah, I really do hope that you guys enjoyed this nail set along with the more conversation-based video. I've said this a million times already, but I am trying to get more into that because just talking about the nail set is kind of boring sometimes. And even though this video is more of me kind of talking about important things, I really do hope that you guys found it to be enjoyable. I'm not gonna lie, I did talk a lot more than I anticipated. I guess I'm kind of long-winded if I'm like given the opportunity. You know what? No, I'm a deep thinker. We're gonna say that. I'm a deep thinker. But to me, I found this topic to be very interesting and also very important because, like I said, you know, the H mamas and the young, wild, and free women, they get a bad rep, but they are our grandmothers, they're our aunts, they're our mothers. These are the women that are in our life and they deserve respect and love. So yeah, I hope that you found it enjoyable, and I also do hope that maybe you have a different view on Black women, especially the young, wild, and free Black women out there who I have so much love for them, okay? Anyway, but of course, definitely let me know if you would wear this nail set. This nail set was definitely a bit extra, but I think I would wear it outside. Also, do let me know what other nail sets you guys would like to see in the future. I do have a couple of requests for nail sets coming up in the future, so definitely do stay tuned for those. As you guys know, I'm kind of on my extra kick lately, and I don't exactly know when this is going to end, but I'm loving the extra nail sets, and I hope that you guys are as well. But anyways, I really do hope you guys enjoyed Nails by Kai Black History Month edition. I don't know what I'm gonna call this, but anyway. But as always, I want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I will see you guys in the next one.